Good day, viewers. I welcome you to our continuation learning series of Science and Mathematics. Which subject are we having today? We are going to be looking at biology. I repeat, biology. And what are we going to be looking at under biology today? We are going to be looking at another very interesting topic, which is called what? Cell. We'll be looking at cell, the historical development of cell. We are going to also look at some of the sciences that have contributed to the cell. And then lastly, we look at what? The cell theory. So before we go further, as we normally do on this channel, let us first of all look at our learning objective. What are the things are we going to learn under today's topic? Here we go. On the learning objective, we are going to look at what is a cell. Number 2, we are going to look at the historical development of cells. And lastly, we are going to look at what? Cell theory. These are our 3 learning objectives. So let's take them one by one. What do we call a cell? We as a human being, our body is made up of cells. This cell is very, very important. All our body systems depend on the cell. So if you want to define the cell now, we can say that the cell is a functional and structural unit of life. A cell is a functional and a structural unit of our life. So that means that the way we function, the way our structure looks like, also depend on the cell. So let's put it down. What is a cell? A cell is a structural and functional units of life or of living organism. So all living organisms depend on cell. Okay, so that means that when we say the basic unit or functional unit, all the body activities such as reproduction, the feeding, respiration, all of them are being carried out by the cell. So cell carry out all the living activities such as feeding, respiration, reproduction, and the rest. So that's why we say that cell is a structural and functional unit of life, the way our body functions. Okay, now having said that, let us now look at the historical development of cell. The second learning objective, the historical development of cell. Cells have undergone a lot of historical development. The people, the scientists that have done a lot of research work on cells. So the first one among them we can see is Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke, the English scientist, in 1665. He is the first of all started most of the major work on the cell we can see. So in 1665, Robert Hooke, the English scientist, he discovered that the cell of honeycomb, the honeycomb structure have what is called cell. The honeycomb structure have what is called a cell. So the first scientist called Robert Hooke. Okay, Robert Hooke. So he discovered in 1665. What did he do? He discovered that the honeycomb structure, okay, is made up of cell. Okay, in fact, we call Robert Hooke the father of cell. And what was his contribution? He contributed that the oak of a tree is made up of cell. The oak, contribution of Robert Hooke. He contributed that the cork of an oak tree, okay, is made up of components called cell. So that was his contribution. He discovered that the oak tree is made up of a component called cell in 1665. After his own, we also have some other scientists. Another is called what? Felix Dujardin. In 1835. Felix Dujardin is a Frenchman. Felix Dujardin. Okay, what did he do? A French biologist. French biologist. Okay, French biologist in 1835. In 1835, he discovered that the cell is made up of living substances called protoplasm. So he discovered that the cell is made up of living component called protoplasm. So that was his own contribution. So he discovered that cells of living organism or living substances is made up of protoplasm. So he discovered that the cell is made up of what is called protoplasm by Felix Dujardin, the French biologist. Now, and after him we have Theodor Matthias Schneider. Okay, he is a German botanist. In 1838. He's a German botanist. And when you say a botanist, somebody that study plant, a German botanist in 1838. What did he do? He showed that bodies of plants are made up of cell. So that was his own contribution. So Matthias Schneider, a German botanist in 1838, he showed that plants body are made up of cell. That's why you say he's a botanist. Botanist is someone that he was study of plants. After him, we also have Theodor Schwann. Is also a German. Theodor Schwann, German zoologist. Zoology is somebody that study of animal. German zoologist. His own contribution was in 1839. Okay, he showed that the body of animal are made up of cell. So he shows that the bodies of animal is made up of cell. So that's why we are saying, being a zoology, someone that's doing study of animal. So we also have Matthias Theodor, and then what? Matthias Theodor. So another scientist that also does what? Matthias Theodor. So Matthias Theodor, don't forget, this one is also a German scientist, Matthias Theodor. Matthias Theodor along with Matthias Schneider, both of them they are the one. Their work leads to what you call what? Postulation of cell theory. So what you are saying there is that both of their work, the Theodor Schwann and their work, Matthias Schneider, both of them, their work leads to the work, what you call the cell theory. So they are the one that postulates the cell theory, which is going to be our last learning objective. So Theodor Schwann and then what? Matthias Schneider and Matthias Theodor. So both of them, their work happen to be, they let us know that animal cell and plant cell, they are under what? The cell theory. So their work, both of them postulate, both Matthias Theodor and then what? Theodor Schwann, both of them postulates the cell theory. That's what you are saying. So both of them are the person that has postulated the cell theory, which you are going to see. That means that the cell is a structural unit and basic unit of life. And then the last one we can do to see is Rudolf von Viehkon. Rudolf von Viehkon. Rudolf von Viehkon. Rudolf von Viehkon. He is also a German zoologist in 1855. So, German zoologist, German biologist, besides German biologist in 1855. Okay, so he his own conclusion was that concluded that in his research, to show that all cells in his research shows that all cells, okay, all cells comes from previously existing one, cell. So that's what he did. So Rudolf von Viehkon, being also a German biologist in 1855, he concluded in his own work that the new cell existed from the previously one that have been existing. So the new cell starts from previously existing cell. So that's what we are saying. So these are some of the scientists that have worked in the field of cell development. We have, like I've said, Robert Hooke. He is called the father of the cell. We now have what is called Felix Dujardin. Is another one. We then have Martha Schneider. Martha Schneider is also another scientist. And then we don't have Theodor Schwann and then Matthias Theodor. These two, their work is what's called the cell theory. And then the last one called Rudolf von Viehkon. Rudolf von Viehkon, what is his own contribution? He is the one that let us know that the cell exists from previously existing cell. So these are what we call under the historical development of the cell. Now the last line of this, what we call the cell theory. What is called cell theory? Let us look at cell theory now. The cell theory. So the theory are being developed from other research or from the works. Say cell theory. Cell theory. So we have about 4 or 5 of them. So we say that cell is structural. One. Say that cell is the structural and functional units of life. So all our activities depend on the cell, the feeding, respiration, and the rest. And number 2 say that organisms are made up of cells. All organisms, okay? All living organisms. When I say living organism, either plant or animal, all living organisms are made up of cell. There is no life without the life of cell. So cell is the basic unit of life. And we also have the cell comes from previously existing cell, which was being done by Rudolf von Viehkon. So we have number 3. All cells comes from previously existing cell. Number 4, it does that there is no life apart from the life of cell. No life. There is no life apart from the life of cell. So what we are saying here is that if there is no cell, there can never be what? Life. So cell is the basic things that we have. And the last one is that all living organisms is either a single cell or multi-cell. A single cell means that These ones are the ones that have just one cell, which we call unicellular organism. And the organism that have, or either plant or animal that have more than one cell are called what? Multicellular. So what we are saying here is that an organism can either be one cell, which is called unicellular, or having many cells called what? Multicellular. So let's put it down. All living organisms. The last one, all living things, okay, are either single cell or what? Unicellular organism, or multicellular, that is with two or more cells. So in a nutshell, you are either unicellular or multicellular. Again, unicellular organisms are the organism with one single cell, such as amoeba. We have the paramecium, we have the clendominas. These are what we call the unicellular organism. We then have multicellular organism. Example is what we call what? We human beings, we are under what? Multicellular. We also have what? Spirogyra, we human beings, the flowering plant. These are what we call multicellular organism. So we are able to achieve all our learning objectives. We've talked about what is cell. To recap, we have talked about historical development of cell. We have now looked at what? The cell theory. So we are able to achieve all our learning objectives. So this is where we are going to stop today. So in the next class, we are going to look at another very interesting topic under the same biology. Probably we are going to look at the cell structure and then the function of each of these structures inside cell, such as the cytoplasm, the cell wall, the cell membrane, the vacuole, the mitochondria, and the rest, all the other cell organs. We are going to look at them in the next class. So before we go, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can be able to see other topics, the one we have done and the one we are still going to do in biology. So not only biology we talk on this channel, we talk about what? Chemistry, we talk about what? Physics, and likewise what? Mathematics on this channel. So kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can be able to see other subjects and then their topics. Click subscribe for more exciting on this channel. So till we meet again, I say you should remain mathematically and scientifically intelligent. Bye bye.